Hello everyone, welcome back to A Business Space. This has been a hiatus of episodes, so I apologise. I've been really busy. Today I am joined by two guests, so imagine the logistical nightmare of me trying to get two mics, two cameras, all to fit as well as mine. That was fun. I'm joined by Danny and Katie Bloomfield. I will let you guys introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, your businesses and what have you, and then we'll get right into it.
Cool, yeah, absolutely. So we are Danny and Katie Bloomfield. You'll see which one's which. Husband and wife, property investors, business partners, parents to 6 children. I don't know, do you want to explain a bit more about what we like business-wise?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that sums
In a
us up,
nutshell,
doesn't it?
that's
In a
what we are.
nutshell. But
Yeah.
property. We're investing. We're developing. We're buying portfolios. In a separate, we've got multiple businesses. So in another business that we're scaling right now, we're business strategists. We're high performance coaches, and we're really working with people in that space that want to create a wealthy life, not just financially, but in every area of their life. So people that are maybe stuck, they're performing well in one area, maybe great career, great businesses, but personal life just isn't where they want it to be. Things aren't quite going right, or health conscious people that want to have a really good, well-rounded, wealthy life.
So we were talking before the camera started rolling about there's that old adage of you can't have everything. You can't be super fit and healthy, a great family life, have a great business. They're like too many plates spinning. You won't be able to do it all. And you and I were like, well, that's just bollocks. It's just a myth. Where did that deep-rooted belief that is a myth come from? Because all the other external factors would have told you that's not the case.
I think we've both lived that before as well, haven't we? We've both lived that, believing that you can't have everything.
Yeah.
You know, for either, like we were speaking before the cameras were turned on. You know, I had a child very young. You started a business very young, didn't you? You know, so can you have all of that, like the career or business, and the life as such? You know, to be healthy, be in a happy relationship, etc. Can you actually do that? And I think because of the fact that we've lived believing that you couldn't, we now believe that you actually can, because we're living it now.
Yeah, I think it's finding out how to do it, isn't it? I think that's the biggest thing there. How do you do it, not whether it's possible or not.
Yeah.
And we always look for anything. If there's one person in the world that shows you that it's possible, then everybody can do it. And I think that Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, always talks about, if somebody said, can I afford it? How can I afford it? How do I make that happen? It's the same for a well-rounded life and having it all. Can you have everything at once, straight away off the bat, if some of your life is going to shit? No. It takes time, it takes processes, but there's like anything in life, there's systems to be able to help put into place so you can have a great flow throughout your whole life, different life areas at the same time. It's just knowing how to do it, isn't it? It's like how do some people have a really, really productive, high-performing 24 hours and other people can't get shit done? They just know the system. They know the hacks how to do it, and it's just learning that.
Yeah, you said about spinning plates. Now, I've never actually tried to spin plates. I'm talking physical, not metaphorical, right? But we like to talk about, like, if you're trying to hold all the balls together, trying to figure out which ones are the plastic ones and which ones are the glass ones, because the plastic ones bounce. It's okay if those ones drop sometimes. The glass ones, the ones you can't let go of, the health, the relationships, they're the ones you absolutely have to keep hold of. So you have to protect those ones, don't you?
And you find the people who are, we mentioned before the cameras rolling, like people who are, struggling, who are depressed, they sometimes do let go of those glass ones, and that's the things that makes them feel so bad. They beat themselves up. Then they feel like they can never achieve it because they have let those balls drop. Yeah. What was there like a defining moment for you guys that kind of put you on this pathway, or was it just a gradual journey over a period of time?
We didn't even get into this because I think I might cry if I go into it too much. But as I said already, I had a baby at age 19. I had 3 children by the time I was 24, and was in a marriage that it wasn't very pleasant. And I had really postnatal depression that wasn't diagnosed until I was probably 25, because I genuinely couldn't tell anyone about it. Yeah. you know, back in the early 2000s, like you mentioned that you feel depressed, like I was really scared that someone was going to take my children off me. And you know, I worked really hard the whole time that, you know, I was working mum, you know, working single mum, and I just felt like there was no one around me that I could say it to. And one day I met with this health visitor, and I said to her, if I actually, like, you know, I don't, when you have a baby, they give you these forms, like, how are you feeling today? Can you feel the joy in every day? And those ones. And like, I'm not stupid. I know how to bullshit the system, right? So I always scored really well. So I sat down with her and I said to her, if I actually tell you how I really feel, you're going to take my kids away. Like, that was the defining moment. Like, that was the throwaway comment, if you like. And I think from then, like, I got the help. It set me on this different path of being actually able to do something about my own life. We didn't meet until our early 30s. And I genuinely, I mean, as bullshit as this sounds, right? Like, it was like a fairy tale. Like, I'd written myself off men, off relationships. And when we met, and like, we've just been so compatible. Like, we still work on ourselves individually as well as ourselves together, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, on a, you know, daily, weekly, monthly basis. And we've got like processes in there that help us to do that. But that, for me, that was the defining moment, I think.
I think for me, I remember there was multiple things that happened before this, but there was one defining moment. And I remember I was in my car driving home from a meeting. So I owned a business at the time it was a franchise model. I owned three or four different franchises, all within the same business, but three different areas of the UK. And employed at that point, it was probably about 30, 40 staff, something like that, and we had a team in place. And I had a business owner in that business, and I also worked for the franchisor as a regional manager, director, as an area manager, as well. And I remember deciding to give up that role as an area manager, which I actually really enjoyed and was doing really well at, and working through different pay grades and what have you, as well as having the business. So I was like getting paid twice for doing the same thing, really. And I remember, because he was struggling and the other business, some of the other people within it were struggling, and I gave that up because I needed to go back into the business. And I did it temporarily to start with, then I went back out again, and then I gave it up permanently about 6 months later. And I remember resenting that decision for quite a long time afterwards, because I couldn't work out at the time, or I couldn't convince other people for me to carry on doing that. And there was pressure from people at home and my ex-business partner now, but business partner at the time, to give that up and come back in. And actually, that was a bit of crabs in the bucket syndrome. That was a bit of other people seeing me starting to do other things in my life at that time, and wanting to pull me back, probably because they felt I was getting too big for my boots, and certain successes were coming and they wanted to pull me back in. And I didn't know that at the time. But the resentment that I felt, but because I'm a bit of a nice person, I didn't want them to feel that, so I kept it in. And that was a moment where I remember thinking, right, I've got to figure stuff out, because I don't want to ever have to give something up that I'm really enjoying because I feel like it's the right decision, or because it's going to appease other people. I need to find a better way of being able to do both things. So yeah, that was a defining moment for me.
Really interesting you say that. Do you think that those people did those things maliciously, or do you think it was just something that they felt because of their own inadequacies or their own problems?
Yeah, no, I don't believe it was malicious at all. I don't even think they realised what they did, or what they were doing. I think it was their own limiting beliefs. That was their own small world, and wanting to just stay nice and cosy and comfortable, and just they know everything's staying nice and close and tight. And it would have been because of that. So based on their limiting beliefs, 100%.
Yeah, I alluded to it before the cameras rolling about the business partner problems that I'd been having in one of the companies that I own, and there was just a moment of realization then when you were saying that there's probably an element of what you just said that's true in that situation, and it's interesting that you've raised it like that, because it's made me think about that situation in a little bit of a different light. But sometimes people just do get scared of the change that is happening in other people's lives, and they react to it. And they don't know why they do it, and they don't know that they've done it. They react from a place of fear, not from a place of malintent. But it has a domino effect that they probably can't see either, because of their insular look and the oversight that they've got. It's really interesting.
Me and Kate talk a lot about sometimes. I think as you're elevating your own world with the things you're involved with, businesses, personal life, whatever you're doing, if you're working on yourself a lot and you're really intentional and conscious about development and personal development, certain things start happening, don't they, which are pretty cool. And other people that have maybe been in your world for a little while that again might not realise, but they don't like it because they see maybe they're reflecting on themselves, and that then makes them feel a certain way, and it's harder for them to look at themselves rather than actually it's probably easy to blame you and say, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. And a lot of the time we find that if someone thinks it's about you, it's probably more about them. But if they think it's maybe about them, it might be more about you. And it's almost the opposite. And I know certainly I was made to, now I know that I wasn't made to believe. We have a choice about how we feel. But I felt at the time I was being made to believe it was all me. And actually I now know it was the opposite.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you made those choices and you had those defining moments, what was the kind of, how did you start making those moves forward? Because I think a lot of people, especially people who, not that we get hundreds of thousands of listens or anything like that, but the people who listen to these episodes are either entrepreneurs already, they're already business owners, or they're on the pathway. And a lot of times it's like they have this analysis paralysis where they don't know how to move forward. They know that there's something they want to do and there's a goal they want to achieve, but there's so many tasks in order to get to that point. How did you start on that process once you'd had that moment of realization?
Do you know what? I think I've been in that analysis paralysis state. You get stuck in learning. I need another course and another course, and I don't quite know enough yet. I think an interesting exercise that we done was like when you actually start writing down what you want, like what do you want your life to look like? Wasn't it? It was when we first, when you first asked me that, and I don't just cry all the time, I promise. I genuinely don't cry all the time. But it was a really emotional thing, wasn't it? Because I was like, hang on, I can choose. Like, I can choose, what do you mean? I can choose what I want my life to look like. I can choose how many thousands of pounds I want to earn, and I can choose how many times I want to go on holiday. Things like that don't just happen to me. But when we actually started, we wrote it down, didn't we? Like, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want to do, be, have? And then when we started working through it, like, okay, which step is first? Like, whatever it is, like, okay, how are you going to do it? Write each step down. Then it's just a simple pathway, like you say, simple pathway. Business isn't really complicated. People are very complicated. The way that people think are very complicated. But really, I mean, like you were just talking about, like, malintent. I don't think there is. I think people, we're both NLP practitioners. People will behave with the highest intention at all times, but just might not align with your intention. I don't think that, I don't think any of them trying to get a negative outcome.
Sure.
Is positive for themselves, maybe. It might be different ways of thinking. Yeah. But I genuinely don't think that anybody is trying to be malicious a lot of the time. I think when fear from family and things like that, a lot of it's just coming from fear from you. They want to keep you safe, especially when you say you're going to go and quit your job and start a business doing X, Y, and Z. What do you mean? No. That's not safe for you. Stay where you're meant to be.
Solid, secure income. I think for me it was just this gut feeling of there's something more out there for me, and not wanting to be blocked by that decision that I'd just had a realization of. So the analysis paralysis is a real thing, isn't it? It does. We all experience it at some point, probably multiple times. And I think it's just sometimes breaking it down into what is the next best step. Just what is the next one? Don't worry about too far ahead. If you can get to the point, like Kate said, and work out, get some real clarity about what you actually want the future to look like. How do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to be doing? If you can have a bit of clarity around that, that really helps you then work out what the next best step is. But sometimes it is just one simple thing. Just even if it is making a decision that I'm now going to start making more decisions that are moving me towards where I want to be and away from where I am at the moment. And you don't even have to actually do something to make that shift, because the most powerful ones aren't always the physical things we do. It's the creation in our mind. It's that vision of what we want to become and what we want to be doing and what we want to have. And what does the top of the mountain look like? If I can get really clear on that, then our brain is unbelievable at being able to unpack things and finding the pathway for us. There's two main quirks to the brain. One is it can't do a don't. So our subconscious, especially if we say, don't think about a pink elephant right now, everybody's probably got an image of a pink elephant in their mind because I've said don't do it, but our brain can't do a don't. The other thing is it's teleological, which means it's end goal orientated. So if you're really clear about what the end goal is, then our brain will find ways of making that happen, even when we're sleeping. When our subconscious is working, it will be looking for stuff towards that. And I think that is another thing then that can help get rid of analysis paralysis.
And just to summarize, kind of understanding and breaking it down into even micro wins.
One step.
And then being able to be really clear on what your intentions are and goals. Sound like the two things that you guys are really, really clear on being the way to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah, we genuinely, like, we look at things regularly, don't we? Like, what is the purpose here? What are we actually trying to achieve with this? Because if you don't check in regularly, I think especially in business, things change quickly. Even as far as you asking us a question and us starting to speak and then going off on a massive tangent, that is the world. We're distracted by things, aren't we? What is the point of why you're speaking right now? What is the point of what you're doing right now? What is the point of this next task? If you can figure out what that end goal is, like Dan said, top of the mountain, what is the top of the mountain? Because when you get there, it will be a different view. You're going to want a different view when you get there. You won't just stay there the whole time. No one just stays still. You get stale if that's what happens. So, yeah, I think definitely that. We check in regularly, don't we? Are we still on the right path? Because success isn't here to here. It's I'm back again, and then right. Where am I?
Yeah, because it's not an end destination, is it? It's the next milestone, and it's a working pattern. I think it's a bit like the astronaut syndrome, isn't it? Once you've tried to get to the moon your whole life, when you get there, what does the next day look like for you? What do you then do? Resetting goals, resetting an objective, a vision that you want to do next is absolutely key. Within our world, we've got a couple of our boys love football. We talk about Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi quite a lot. How can two players that have reached the age they've reached earn the accolades that they have throughout their career, the money they've earned throughout their career and still earning, put their body through what they're putting through now at 39, 40 years old, and they'll be sore the next day and they will be aching? How do they do that when they've done everything they've already done? For me, it's probably quite simple that they just realign vision every year. They just re-establish new goals. Yeah. And that's something that we do a lot. We're very intentional about every area of our life. Very intentional. One of our systems we didn't realise we used, but we've learned what we've used and we've sort of put it into a bit of a formula for ourselves is POWER is the acronym for it. So P stands for purpose. So in all of our life areas, what's the purpose? What's the vision? O is organisation. So how do we organise that part of our life? So if it's a particular business, what's the purpose of the business? How do I organise it? So that's kind of creating a plan really and making sure I'm allocating the right amount of time to it and just giving myself a framework to work on. W is willpower. So am I determined? Have I got resilience in that area? How do I make sure I've got enough willpower to make it happen? E is environment. How do I create the environment necessary to achieve this and work towards my purpose? And R is results. What are the results I'm looking for? What are the KPIs? What are the milestones we need to be looking at? And then how regularly and often am I going to check in on them? And then you go all the way back to the P again. And in another year, for example, it's our annual review. Where are we at? Is the purpose still on track? Is the plan right? Are we organised? Are we still feeling really determined and enthusiastic about it? And you go through it again. And I think by being really intentional about that, it helps you move through the gears of avoiding overwhelm, analysis paralysis, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, all of these things that are real things that do affect us. If you can come back to the intentional part of what is my purpose and what am I actually trying to go to, the things that we've probably felt analysis over, or fear or overwhelm, generally disappear into a bit more insignificance when we think about the top of the mountain again. Yeah. It's because we got caught up in the noise and the day-to-day stuff, and we're sweating the small stuff generally, and then we get overwhelmed with all the sweating the small stuff. If you can step back and just look beyond that to the top of the mountain, it tends to just sort of vanish and disappear.
Definitely. There's a couple of things I want to come back to that you said there. First one was about Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm a Man United fan, been a season ticket holder for 18 years.
Have you?
Yeah. So
sorry for the last few years.
Ronaldo coming back to Manchester United at 38 or whatever he was. Passed it, wasn't going to succeed, wasn't going to score any goals. All the other clubs were laughing at us. They've relied on an old man again. Man United has signed someone on stupid wages and he's not going to perform. He came back and scored 22 goals in a failing team, was, I think, second highest or third highest scorer that season, and absolutely pulled that team through. Yeah. And what you said around him changing what he saw as success or changing his goals and re-establishing himself and what that looked like, that was so evident when he came in as a high performer, someone who's achieved everything. He came in, he looked at where the club was and like, well, these are the things that I know I control. These are the things that I know I can do. This is the impact I know I can have, and did it. And I think that's such a really relevant example of like someone who is a high performer and how they change. And then
and probably because he was really clear on what he still wanted to achieve, and what that was 3 years ago now since he left United, and he's still playing and still just signed a new 139 million contract for 1 year. Yeah. Because he was really clear on it, he was able to make a decision quite quickly that here's what I want to achieve. I'm in the this doesn't feel aligned. I'm in the wrong place now. I need to make a decision, and off I go. And if he wasn't so clear on what his purpose was and what he was trying to achieve, it'd probably still be there now. And he would have then be at the point where people were going, he's a mess, he's past it, told you it wouldn't work, like all of that, because his motivation would have gone and his energy for it would have gone, because he's just floating through life for the last few years, and almost then a bit of a paycheck, I just top my pension up for a few years. But that's not him. He's gone in clear of, I want to win a league, I want to still go to the Euros, play for Portugal till I'm 40 and these things, so I've got to keep playing and performing at a high level. So he's crystal clear and it's driving him. Difference between motivation and inspiration, isn't it? He's clearly inspired because it lasts longer. Everyone can get motivated for a day, maybe a month if we're lucky, but it's like petrol in the tank. You've got to keep topping motivation up. If you're inspired, which comes from your real clear vision and purpose, then that just carries on.
Yeah, and to use another football analogy, sorry to everyone who hates football. My wife being one of these people, she'll be like, stop talking about football now.
I'm all right. I'll get in with the football. How is it that some people would just do good at everything they do? Then you've got those moaning minis that are like, oh, they're always winning. Why is this? Because they fail. They still get it wrong. Ronaldo's got it wrong before. Of course, absolutely. I'm sure you guys can tell me about how he's got it wrong before. But he's got things wrong before. He just keeps going anyway.
That's it. Yeah,
doesn't give up.
To use kind of another Man United player as an example, you look at the Marcus Rashfords and the Jadon Sanchos of this world, who don't have a purpose, don't seem to look like they have a goal or an identity, or they're not inspired by anything at this moment in time, and then they're just trudging through the career. They were motivated when they went to Chelsea. They were motivated when they went to Aston Villa for that month, for that week. Yeah. But none of that's a long-serving ambition of theirs. Yeah. And again, when you get to the end of the season, they both fallen by the wayside. No one wants to buy them. They're on the transfer list. Yeah. Jadon Sancho's up for 25 million quid, which is 75% less than we paid for him. Yeah. And no one wants him. Yeah. And you think about the differences between those two players, and you think about the atmosphere that Ronaldo walked into and what he saw, probably indicative of what those two players personify. And that was why he couldn't stay there. Yeah. Really interesting.
We talk a lot about five building blocks of your life, and growth mindset is one of them, and a core piece to it, and the real foundation. So let's use that analogy again, that example, Jadon Sanchez, Rashford. Neither of those boys have lost talent. Mm-hmm. They haven't suddenly become players that were talented and now they've forgotten how to do certain things, they're just in a fixed mindset. They've lost their growth mindset. They're not hungry. They're not inspired. The things you just said. And that's the same for life, isn't it? If we can keep that growth mindset at the core of everything we're doing, and we become really aligned with that as a value of ours, of growing our mindset and all the things that comes within that, we believe everyone's capable of great things. It's not a lack of talent generally.
You've got a range of businesses in quite different sectors. I can see there's probably a pathway from the coaching that you do, the sports coaching, and maybe some of the coaching you do now, there might be a through link there. But a lot of them are quite varied and quite different. Yeah. What are some of the like key things that you can take from all of those businesses that have kind of stood you in good stead? Are there particular habits? Are there particular techniques? Or are there particular kind of beliefs that you've took into those businesses that have really helped you to achieve in all of them? And I'm sure there've been some failures as well, but...
Yeah. I think that's probably one of the ones that we would talk about most, the failing, but that's okay. You know, when we've said before, failing is how you learn. A baby learns to walk by falling over. It won't just get up and walk one day and never ever fall over. We have to get things wrong. That's how we learn. So I think habits are one thing, aren't they? You know, and we're only human, right? We're not superhuman. We still get out of habits sometimes, you know. I mean, Dan, you should see him on a day that he doesn't go to the gym. He's a moody sod. I joke, he's never moody. But, you know, going to the gym, like the morning routines, like the mindset stuff, it doesn't just naturally happen. You know, if we ate like shit and, you know, got drunk every night and things like that, then I'm sure we wouldn't be in that mindset. That, you know, it can change quickly. But we have different habits that keep us in the right frame of mind, don't we? Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm a big on meditation, big on yoga, big on journaling all the time. And if I don't do that, you'll see me slip. Like, you know, it just happens. Yeah. Business. I mean, the business rhythm. You know, obviously, depending on where you're at in business, I think. I mean, this is your absolute like. He has a proper wet dream over like the fucking over the spreadsheets, don't you? Spreadsheets and like keeping the rhythm with the team. Yeah. And I don't know if you'd prefer. Yeah, you can go into that because I know you like the weekly, the monthly, like everybody, and I'm just like over here. Should we go and have a party and chat everybody? Yeah.
Well, I think what we've learned is, and it's been a really good grounding having different businesses in different industries, some online, some offline. Somewhere it's high volume, low margin, so you need more staff. Service industry, non-service. It's been a really good grounding, and what we've probably taken from it is actually business is business. Yeah. There's some real key things that no matter what business you're doing are probably paramount to a foundation, a success, and a good baseline. And so if I was to summarise them, Kate's already said it. Growth mindset around yourself. If you're not on it, then you're the captain of the ship, and then that just falls by the wayside with everybody else. One bad apple in a batch can spread. So looking after and protecting your culture with your life is absolutely critical. That's a key thing. I think having systems, processes, and a business rhythm is important. What I mean by business rhythm is what is the heartbeat of the business? How often do you need to be checking in on certain things? So one of what we've learned and we do and therefore recommend is you've got a 5-year plan, longer term plan. Every year you review your annual business plan and the vision. Are we on track? That breaks down into a quarterly plan, which breaks into, and that's more tactical. What we're going to do in next quarter to move on to our annual goals and objectives. Monthly, it's then reporting, it's check-ins, it's reviewing the plan. Are we a third of our way through it like we would, or are we already slipping so you can catch it quickly? Financials, management accounts, things like that. And then weekly, right, on a weekly basis, what are our weekly KPIs that we need to make sure we're going towards our monthly? Bless you. Checking in with the key department heads of your team if you've got teams, and looking at the key stuff on a weekly basis. What issues have we got going on this week that we can get rid of really quickly? What opportunities have we got this week? And what are we looking at for next week? What are our key goals? And then daily, we have a daily huddle for 10 minutes with our team. We have 8 people on it. It lasts 10, 12 minutes. And that's a bit like a school assembly. Yeah. What's going on today? What are the key things we need to know? What are your main key goals for today? So it's all just broken down and chipped away. But all of it should be leading to our five-year vision, our 5-year plan. So that's the business rhythm, and looking at making sure then as a leader we're removing any excuses, I guess. We've put systems in place so people can hold themselves accountable to data and information, so we don't have to, because everyone in the team can then see it if somebody hasn't completed their stats, their KPIs or their information. I think it just keeps it speeds the pulse up, so it helps you scale quicker. Yeah. And it helps communication. WhatsApp's a beautiful thing and biggest curse at the same time, isn't it? Because it can go crazy. So the idea of this meeting rhythm within the business is that it removes your phone going off all the time. If you've got something to say, let's do it in here unless it's absolutely urgent. If it's urgent, we'll talk about it outside of it. If it's not, wait till tomorrow in our daily huddle. And it just helps give some parameters and boundaries for people to respect. So I think culture, business rhythm, and outside of that, I would probably say recruitment. Yeah. Because if you've got the key business things in place, like we've just spoke about, actually you can then recruit anybody to fill the gaps. You don't need to know loads about that business or that industry to have a successful business in it, because it's key then to recruit somebody that can plug those gaps for you. So if it's a technical issue, for example, in a certain industry, then recruit the technical knowledge to come into it. Really, one of the things we're looking at with every business is the pound per hour for tasks. Is it £2 per hour, £20 per hour, £200 an hour task? We can do the real high level, high pound per hour tasks. Some of the more technical stuff can probably be done in the middle at £20 per hour tasks. So it's moved on probably a bit since I did that with national minimum wage, but you get my point. Like you can bring a technician in who knows the area, but not all of the greatest technicians in an industry. For example, the best baker might not be the best business owner, but they're great at baking. Get them in to do the baking because they know the technical part of that. Yeah. And then somebody that knows how to run businesses, run the business for them.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of a Business Space podcast. I appreciate you spending the last half an hour or so with me and my guest. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like it, subscribe and share it with a friend. Hit the little notification bell so that you get notified next time I put up a new episode. And let me know in the comments, what was your favourite bit? What was the part that resonated with you the most? And if you've got a business or an audience where you think a podcast might work for you and help you develop deeper or more meaningful relationships with your audience and sell more stuff at a higher price, drop me an email. You can get me at stephen@contentspace.com. Look forward to chatting with you soon and stay tuned for the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.